A professor from Utah State University, a sustainability professor, called me up and said, hey, we're doing a landscape redesign for campus, and we really want it to be as ecological as possible and exemplify some permaculture principles and this kind of thing. And would you be able to help us with this? I said, yeah, sure, I'll come out. So came out and looked at the space, saw a ton of opportunity. This is just one of the spaces. We basically ripped up parking lot and put in a little bit of
Oh, wow.
paradise.
Yeah.
We did the whole campus. I'm just going to show a little section of it, but we took water off the roofs. Basically, we figured, how are we going to irrigate this in a climate that gets 9 inches of rain a year, 9 inches of precipitation a year, including snow? And the obvious solution there is gather water off of surfaces like rooftops and parking lots. And so we took all the water we could off of roofs and surfaces, put it into the soil, designed swales, and diverted the water ever so slowly. These are not on contour, and so that the water moves and stretches along this whole strip all the way down here, and it goes even further. It's like 200 feet. There's water flowing through it after it's been sheet mulched and trees planted. This is 7 years later.
Wow.
And this is 10 years later.
Wow. Excellent.
So a real success. It doesn't get city water. It's just totally off rainfall and passive, and filled with peaches and cherries and apples and figs and grapes and currants and all kinds of stuff. And there's a community of people that love this garden, love this campus. It's not the Moab University, Utah State University campus anymore. They built a new campus. Now it's sort of like a nonprofit hub. So a lot of different community service organizations have offices there, and it's sort of like a nonprofit co-working space of sorts. But there's a whole community of people that love this, to where when it did change hands, a huge stipulation was, we're not going to sell this property to anybody who isn't going to maintain these gardens.
Wow.
And so that was sort of baked into the tradition of this campus, or this set of buildings and landscape.
Yeah.
And how another reason that this was another project that made me realize permaculture is about people. Because how we did this was, Roz McCann, who was the professor at the time, she and I co-created this workshop series to invite students and staff and faculty to participate in the design of the landscape. And so 40 people showed up and got to be involved in the design of it. We did another one when we implemented it. So we did 2 days back to back of digging all the earthworks, planting trees and shrubs, mulching, doing soil prep and all that stuff. All of that happened with this core community of people. And I was like a mad person running from station to station. I mean, we had the islands in the parking lot that were harvesting water that people were working on. We had several sections of this campus. So I just had to run from section to section. And my overall impression of that day was everybody's smiling. And I realized that that's an important function in human society, when you gather people together joyfully. And as this project grew and grew, and I just kept getting stories from people, I realized that people love this landscape because they were a part of it. And they go back to get peaches and harvest cherries and harvest apples and bring them to the food bank or whatever. Like, people love this space, and that's why it still exists. Yeah. And not all of my designs still exist, right? If you're working in an urban, suburban context, things change so much, you know. I've had several designs go under the bulldozer just because we need to put a new building here now, you know.
Yeah.
That sort of urban development pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, this reminds me of the experience of people smiling reminds me of the word conviviality,
Mm,
which is sort of like talk about nature deficit disorder. I think we also have conviviality deficit disorder, where our forebears and our ancestors, kind of no matter how far back we want to trace them, they would work together, and whether that be harvesting or planting or tending to the landscape. But there's such joy when you're working with people on projects, in the land or building, that really is like irreplaceable. You can't get it simulated through some type of digital interface or being on the
totally.
computer. It's a human to human thing, and it's all the better or all the more profound when it's human to human, with nature as the under, sort of like the ground, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I also want to just highlight, did you do a Joni Mitchell reference earlier when you said that you took out a parking lot and put in a
Yeah,
paradise?
tongue in
I like
cheek
that.
there. Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I remember hearing that song as a kid and was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Me too, and I also remember thinking, as I learned about permaculture, oh, like, you can literally build on top of pavement and put in paradise, or you can tear it out and put in, like, a garden like you did, so that has always struck me.
Oh, no. What happened? I hit it.
Oh, I don't know. Don't ever hit the button, Jason.
I I hit the button.
It's been completely transformative. I mean, I went from thinking about business and the world in a certain way, and kind of overnight, it's just the permaculture goggles get on you, and for some reason, it very quickly came to me how I could make a difference